What's up, everybody? Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're from. I'm not going to start until the chat gets going. So, tell me how you guys doing. How was your weekend? Been trading in this nasty range today. Let me know what's up. Good morning, good morning. What's up, Corpse? Alright, considering it's Monday, we can do a quick weekly outlook here. So, last week was looking for this pullback phase. We've seen now we are definitely experiencing a pullback. We've come into 1920, which is on the weekly time frame, the support right here. So 1920 to me quite a significant level. Now we've closed pretty bullish on the weekly candle there, but we've still closed below that 1920. Also, what I don't really like is it's the last week of the month, and you know that weekly candle is not really giving you much signs of a continuation in line with the monthly time frame. So the monthly candle is bearish. Weekly, obviously bullish, you know, so we got a little bit of mixed signals here. On the daily, we arguably formed resistance since this is a bearish candle, but it's a doji, you know, so it's not telling you too much right now, and I think this daily candle today is going to tell you a little bit more and make tomorrow a little bit easier. So this is why I've started a bit late today, and I mean we can see that literally nothing has happened. You know, the whole day has just been ranging. 30 pip range for the whole day. So hopefully NYSE brings us a little bit of volume. We'll dive into the analysis for today's session shortly. But overall, bit of mixed signals here coming to the last week of August. This daily candle, like I said, closed bearish, but with a very weak body. Strong wick to the downside, so it could be a potential liquidity grab from this zone right here. So you can see this 1907, 1905 is a very strong rejection area where we had broken above, and on Friday we saw price come back into that area and reject. So there's two possibilities here. We either come down to fill this wick on the daily, or this was a liquidity grab to potentially move up, or maybe we just range up until NFP. So those are your possibilities there, and then your job is to then go down to the lower time frames and try and make sense of what's happening here. So let me go back to Oranda. And then here we can see that on Friday, after that strong move to the downside there, rejections of 1905, You know, this was quite a strong rejection. If you had that volume to the downside, you should have been filling that wick, but instead you found support right on 1910. And then you're back in this range that we were in last week between 1913 and 1922. So we're actually in a range within a range at the moment. This range right here between 1917 and 1913, let's say. Now, based off of the weekly time frame being bullish and the 4-hour looking the way it's looking, so I wanted this 4-hour to give us some direction for today. That's why I started late. I thought if there were going to be if there were going to be moves today, it would be possibly on this coming 4-hour candle with NYC volume, because we had no news. It was also a UK bank holiday today. So if there's going to be any movement on gold, it's most probably going to come later in New York session, when you generally do get some cleaner moves. So right now this 4-hour candle closing bullish in 2 minutes by the looks of things. Traffic to the left is very choppy. Very, very choppy. So we need to understand any trades within this range are going to be tough and most probably riskier than if you were to just wait for a breakout. So your safest trades here above 1922, looking to possibly move up to 1930, but you've at least got 30 pips there to 1925. And then sells, I mean, based off of today, I don't think I would want to really be taking sells, but sells below 1913 or even 1910. Probably safer below 1910. So by the looks of things, with this 4-hour candle, I'm not really on board with those sells. But the buys here, what I'm seeing is that coming into the close of the 4-hour, we are getting a lot more volume to the upside. And with the new 4-hour, we could easily look to continue up to 1920 and possibly to the top of this range at 1922. So what I would like to see on the new 4-hour, possibly even coming into NYC, I would like to see a bottom wick being formed back down to 1915. That would be great. Let me get zoom annotate here, and then I can draw this out for you. Alright, so the new 4-hour, what would be ideal is if we could pull back down to 1915 and see some sort of setup on the 5-minute coming off 1915. Looking for this next 4-hour to look something like that. Now, why that pullback would be ideal is because we are in this range. Now, you know, if we break the daily highs here at 1917 odd, we could look for that move already, but you are directly in the middle of this range. So I don't really want to be taking trades right in the middle of this range. It's going to give you a lower risk to reward, lower probabilities. But if we could see that move back down to 1915 to form that bottom wick on the 4-hour, then you know that you're going to have a much safer stop loss. Alongside a much better risk to reward. So that would be the ideal scenario. But like I say right here, as we break the daily highs, you may even just get a push. You've got quite a lot of volume on that previous 30-minute candle. Basically, that 30-minute candle is your entire daily range. But let's see if we can get a little pullback here to 1915. And then, you know, this resistance right here at 1917, let's just call it 1917.5. You know, if we get a breakout above there, candle close above here, maybe a nice little biltong or break and retest here, you've got about 25 pips. It's a bit tight. It really is a bit tight. And like I say, we overall in the middle of this range. So I'd much rather be seeing us pulling back into 1915 and getting something like this. This is the only other real possibility, but it's not going to be as clean. You're not going to have as much range to work with. It's going to be a little bit trickier to manage risk, lower risk to reward. So this right here, this pullback to 1915 is going to be best case scenario. In fact, I think if we don't get that pullback to 1915, I would rather just wait for breakouts above 1922, which might not happen today. 25 minutes until NYC. Let's see if we get that pullback. That pullback could even come at NYSE. And then all you're really waiting for is, like I said, to see that move down. Coming back into this zone. Maybe not even 1915, but just to retest this previous structure on the lower time frame. This kind of range here on the 15 minutes. pretty much as drawn out. And then if you're getting a nice rejection candle in the 5-minute, nice bullish candle closure, some signs of rejection or support being formed, you got a good stop loss, that's where you can think of pulling the trigger for those buy ideas. I spoke to someone at gym today who recently checked out the channel, and they were just asking me some questions and that, and they just made a suggestion that I do a bit more like educational content. So I just wanted to put it out there and see if anybody has anything in particular that they would like to know more about, that they would like to learn more about, that I could possibly do content on. I am interested in doing some educational content for you guys. The streams are great, and I do feel that it's a place where I can provide a lot of value. But sometimes the chat is just not interested in learning. So, I also feed off the questions that are being asked in the chat. And I appreciate when you guys ask questions, because, it gives us something to talk about, something to discuss. Sometimes we can even throw around different opinions and that in the chat. And obviously lately I took like a month off, so the channel's not really, the chat's not pumping like it used to, so I don't have as much to work with in terms of questions being asked and whatnot. But I would like to do some content for you guys, some educational stuff. Maybe we'll do some lifestyle videos down the road, but I'm more focused on actually just providing value and helping people out who don't know where to get started, because I know that it's tough. There's no roadmap for this shit. Your journey. A video on my journey. I could do that. Yeah, we broke those daily highs. You didn't really have so our daily highs were 1917.8. Broke above. Didn't really have the volume as it was the very beginning of that new 4-hour candle. So, in that situation, sometimes people will be looking at the 4-hour candle. They're thinking, okay, this 4 hours formed support. As soon as we break the previous 4-hour high, I'm going to get in. Or maybe the daily high's right there. Okay, when we break that daily high, I'm going to be taking buys here. Not really understanding that you are so early into the 4-hour candle, and with NYSE coming up, most times it's going to be better to wait for that bottom wick to be formed. From time to time you can be more aggressive, but in this range, do you really want to be that aggressive? I don't. I really don't. I'm happy to not take any trades today. This is pretty much the one thing I want to see, this pullback to 1915. And then I still have to see the confirmations. I have to see that rejection candle on the 5-minute, some sort of support, like a bullish engulfing candle, something like that. think those are two nice ideas. 3 to 5 step process before taking any trade, and suggestions on funded. So I mean, we can talk about it now, but I'll take that into consideration for actual videos for the channel. 3 to 5 step process before any trade. I don't have a step-by-step process, to be honest, so I would actually have to think about it. But you know, I've got my system and flow, and that really starts with doing a weekly analysis. So I already have an idea of what the higher time frame is doing, so that's probably step 1. Understand the higher time frames. Step 2 would be I suppose marking up your levels, and then step 3 is planning your trade. So for instance, you know, we did the weekly breakdown today, had an idea of what's going on here. We could pull back further to 1930. You know, we discussed the daily candle, the weekly candle, the monthly, and then, you know, I already had my levels in, and I think these levels are still holding quite nicely. And then I've just planned out my trade, and I'm waiting for that setup to come to me. In terms of funded accounts, if you're new to trading, if you don't have 3 months of trading on a live account and seeing consistency, so that's the key, trading on a live account and seeing consistency for 3 months. So that could take you a year, that could take you 2 years to get to that point where you see, you know, 3 good consistent months of profit on a live account. I would say if you can pay for a funded challenge from your personal account, then you're probably ready. Firms to go with, personally, I like what the funded trader is doing. As you said, it's hard. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe that's like the first thing I can do. Like where to start for beginners. Basically give you guys a roadmap. When looking at the higher time frame, I noticed that you're always patient to wait for a file to close. What's the significance? Not always, but what I do really like and what I've seen a lot is New York session. I actually spoke to that guy at gym today about this as well. So if you have a look at New York session, New York open hardly ever gives you a nice clean move. 20 minutes later, you've got COMEX, which yes, could give you nice movement. And then oftentimes at half past, you've got news. And then obviously another 30 minutes later, you've got the 4-hour candle close. So all of these different things going on generally bring a lot of volatility to New York, and it can be very tough to trade if you are not experienced, of course. So New York open, COMEX, news, and the 4-hour candle close, because keep in mind, I just did not an example here how you could have got caught out with the 4-hour. So when you have a new 4-hour candle opening, you know, you can get that bottom wick being created in this instance, and you don't know how big that bottom wick could be. Sometimes that bottom wick could be 50 pips, even more. So in this scenario, if you were looking for buys and you weren't patient enough to wait for this 4-hour to create a bottom wick, you know, you could either sit in 20, 30, 40 pips of drawdown, or get stopped out, or you could just wait for this bottom wick to be formed. Now, on this 4 hour, we've only got NYSE. You got NYSE 30 minutes into the new 4 hour. So at that point, you've collected a lot of data, what price is telling you, what the market's doing for the session. Most times it's going to give you a clue in which direction it's moving for the session from that 4 hour candle. And then after NYC, you're generally getting cleaner moves on gold. After all that dust has settled, after all those little nuances, so, you know, guys like to trade New York session, they like to trade New York open, COMEX, this and that. There's so much noise in that time. You know, I've been starting the stream at COMEX open, and sure, we've been catching a lot of trades before the new 4 hour close or new 4 hour open, but most times it's going to pay to wait for NYC. You're gonna take a trade before 3:30? Maybe. Maybe not. There's your support coming on the 5 minute, but didn't pull back here to where I wanted to see, so it's tough. Where did you learn from? Everywhere. Did you learn from RC? That's probably the one place I didn't learn, to be honest. No, never learned. I've never watched an RCT video. That's probably the one place that I didn't go to. What's up, Mr. Wayne? Yeah. Oh, Charlie. I don't think this is the right place, bro. I'm probably one of those guys who shits on him, to be honest. Well, I don't have a course, so I can say that buy is free. You know what I mean? It's just, the story behind it is bullshit. That's the thing. That's what I don't like. The whole concept is built on a lie. Trade like the banks. The banks don't trade like that. It's a retail strategy. But you get a lot of RCT traders acting all high and mighty like they're not retail. It's just annoying. It doesn't really matter. But anyway. I'm not hating on RCT or whatever. I've done that before. I actually don't care. Because another thing I always say is, if it works for you, it works for you. So, yeah, I haven't watched these videos. But obviously I understand smart money concepts, trade like the banks. It's bullshit. I don't need to watch these videos. I learned from Roger Banks. I learned from RoxFX. Mark Douglas. There's a lot of places that I've looked, but a lot of it is also just trial and error. I battle with psychology to hold trades for more. Yeah, Nico has a good point. Lower risk. I think lowering risk is such a it's such a good solution to almost any problem you're having in trading. Struggling to hold winners, lower risk. Struggling to cut losers, lower risk. If you got too much risk on the table, you're not going to be thinking clearly, you're not going to follow out your plan that you've set out for yourself. Because you'll be acting emotionally. In the early days, you're learning the skill. You're not focused on making money. So lower the risk. Thank you, Benny. Appreciate that, bro. Roger Banks is always losing on stream, though. Yeah, it's because he doesn't listen to what I say. Told you. New York Open, very difficult to trade. Especially when you're trading with that style. I've used that style a lot as well. If you watched me in London, you'll know that I've adapted my style slightly. At the end of the day, it's still price action. Roger just needs to trade London session, to be honest. I mean, stream London. We can swap. But yo, if you have any questions about Roger, just go through his channel, bro. Look at all the streams he's done. The man has been around for years. Roger is so good at what he does, folks. You can't hate on Roger. I know it's suck because I don't do it. I don't show profits, but RCT doesn't show profits. Look at Roger. Man's flexing his MetaTrader. Got multiple 7 figures. He comes to New York for fun. Yeah, he does. He doesn't take his stream seriously. If you want to learn from, look, I don't know why I'm promoting someone else's stream, but if you want to learn from Roger, go back and watch, like the 2020 streams. Don't watch the last year. The last year hasn't been serious. He just gambles news lately. That's what he does on stream. But I mean, I'm here every day. So you could just stick around right here. Oh, for fuck's sakes, Ned. RCT is a retail trader. He is. Also, Charlie, I'll always keep it real with you. Like I say, I'm not gonna hate on anyone's approach or style because if it works for you, it works for you. And I understand that very well. Okay, so we've pulled back into 1915. You've got 4 minutes until NYC. Look at the 30 minutes. Nah. You can see just based off of the 5, you've got a very strong bearish candle coming into this level. We respected 1915, but that's not there's no signs of rejection there. And then the 30-minute candle, which is about to close. Oh, another person learned from Capital Hungry. So Capital Hungry would call these double dildo candles. Big bullish candle, big bearish candle, and you close your chart. So that might just be what happens here today. Double dildo candles. No trades today, boys. Yeah, I watched that podcast as well. I actually don't normally like have the attention span to go and watch a whole podcast. I don't feel, I don't know, but anyway, I had to go watch that one. I think Raja was acting there, to be honest, but he does get that question a lot. He really does. And it can be frustrating. I mean, I know personally from streaming, sometimes the chat gets out of hand, and Raja has a big following. Yeah, it was strange, I won't lie. Hey, anyway, enough about RCT, enough about Raja. You could even still just be coming down to grab some more liquidity here, so gold just doing a bit of fuckery, we could say. We broke the daily highs, coming back here, possibly to take out these lows, grab more liquidity, because we never quite got a retest of 1913, which is kind of your main level of contention here. As we can see, those rejections there, support formed, and you would think that, you know, this pullback here, we would have got taps into 1913. So maybe your new 4-hour wants to come into 1913, grab a bit more liquidity, and then no, it's messy, chat. It's very messy, but possibly something like that on the 5 minutes, something like this. Also, what you focus on grows. Ignore the noise and focus on yourself, your own trades. 100%. Definitely. Okay, NYSE 30-minute candle actually closed engulfing, bearish engulfing. Yeah, it's tough. It's very tough. Could still arguably be your bottom wick for the 4-hour, but it's this range is just not great. Very tricky area and pass. Chat, give me 2 seconds. Just a quick peek at the DXY here. We still maintaining this bullish structure. We had this high created on Wednesday last week. We created new highs, had a pullback to that area, so formed support right there. You're now just ranging, but overall still respecting the structure. Still above this support area. I guess there's not too much to say about it. But I mean, with that 30-minute candle close, if there's volume, if there were volume, it looks more likely to drive up here. Which then on gold, you may be looking for those sells. So like I say, based off of the daily time frame, it's quite difficult to decipher whether this previous daily is a resistance or if we were grabbing liquidity to maybe continue moving up. Overall, you know, we were bearish, so sells are in line with the trend there, and we had pulled it into that 1920, which is on the weekly. On the weekly, this support here. It's just tough. We're all over the place. The 4-hour is giving us mixed signals here as well. We're breaking that previous 4-hour low. Tapping 1913 now. So definitely a significant level there we need to look out for in this session. Look at that 5-minute no bottom wick. Let's see how this 5-minute closes. At this point in time, if we do get a break and a retest here at 1913, so you want to see the retest, you want to see this resistance being formed. You know, we could even look for something like that. We are getting nice reactions off 1913. A bit of volatility. So that was discussed as well, those pullbacks all the way into 1913. It's tricky. Based off of the 4-hour, it makes sense to me. You know, we've been ranging pretty low volume throughout the day. If you're going to get a move, this 4-hour just needed to grab some more liquidity. Never got that tap into 1913 earlier. So let's see how the 5 is closing. Very nice reaction so far. But I definitely want to see this 5-minute closing bullish. I want to wait for the close. Wise words there from Ned. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 20. Run your own race. Very true, Andy, very true. Something that's easy to replicate. That's consistency. If you can't do the same thing over and over and over again, how will you ever get consistent? $19.15 is also a level of interest here for me. So you can see this 5 minutes hovering around that 19.15 level. I just want to see how we are respecting that level now. One minute looks clean. Gold is not waiting. So it made it a little bit tough here since I wanted to see pullbacks to 19.15, but we got the deeper pullback to 19.13. You've got a very strong reaction here. Very strong 5 minute. To be honest, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for the next 5 to close. That'll be our 15-minute close as well. We'll give you a stronger confirmation. And what I would like to see is, I would actually like to see if we could get a retest of 19.15. I don't want to have unnecessarily big stop losses in this scenario. So if we could get something like this, and then take that position coming off 19.15 again, stops below 19.15, that'll be great. And then targets here 19.20, 19.22. You see, if we had just taken on the break of the 5-minute high there was nothing wrong with that, especially with that volume you're seeing off 19.13. But your risk reward kind of comes down a little bit, and in this range, I don't need a 30 pip stop. I think it's more than 30 pips, 36 pips. Stops just Too big for this range. Of course, I could just adjust my risk, my lot size, but like I say, the risk to reward is also just not really there. Yeah, I was looking for the bars of 1913, but I didn't really want to be scaling into a 1 minute. Might have missed the bus on this one. Obviously, it sucks to see your trade idea starting to play out and you're not in the position. So this is where you can start to feel FOMO. But you need to realize that the market's going to be here tomorrow. I mean, market conditions weren't really ideal today, and you know, this really played out exactly like I wanted to see, but the entry confirmations were just very tricky. And those entry confirmations are a big part of your trading plan. If you just start entering trades randomly all of a sudden, you're not going to develop that consistency. It's not something you can replicate. If you just enter a buy right now and it plays out, that's great, but can you do that again tomorrow? Probably not. But I know what I'll be able to do tomorrow is I'll be able to wait for a pullback. So if we could get that bottom wick on the new 15, because this 15 is now giving you a very nice confirmation. Now you just need a nice bottom wick on the new 15, although you've actually grabbed a lot of liquidity here on this 4 hour already. So you may not get that pullback as discussed. But what I could look for is something like this. We've got this resistance here. So above this resistance, if we could get a weak bullish candle like that, so that's the first 5 of the new 15, let's say, just giving you a bit of a pullback, bit of a bottom wick, and then the next 15 breaks the high, sorry, the next 5 breaks the high. You know, looking at something like that, at least you're getting a decent risk to reward, but it's gone. It's gone, chat. Yeah, you grabbed a lot of liquidity there. So you see this candle, no bottom wick. Like I say, you grabbed a lot of liquidity on that new 4 hour bottom wick. And when you've got these pullbacks, these deep pullbacks, and then you start to get moving in your session, you don't always need to get such aggressive bottom wicks on your new candles. You know, for instance, here, this was also a good example. So Friday, left early because I wanted to stay out of this noise. You did eventually actually get quite a nice move here. So with the news, with Jerome Powell speaking, you had a push up here into 1922. And that move up was just a pullback. You grabbed a lot of liquidity. And then when you close below this support, you know, in most scenarios, maybe you would wait for a nice top wick on this new 30-minute candle to retest 1913, but we had already grabbed a lot of liquidity there. So all you really needed was a break of that previous candle low. So in this situation, you know, we don't need much of a bottom wick. Price may just drive. Should have taken the sniper entries on the 1 minute. Yeah, the idea was there, but no entries for me, and that's probably just how it's gonna be today. Main thing is sticking to your plan, something you can replicate. I don't want to get too crazy in this overall range, you know. So like I said, I don't mind not taking a trade today. That might just be your move, to be honest. That might just be the NYSE move for the day. I mean, you had like 60 pips up here. Nasty, nasty range. We actually got pretty similar price action to last week Thursday, coming off 1913. I wanted to see a pullback to 1915. You might not get that. You've got quite a nice support there on the 1 minute. That's pretty decent price action. But, oh, 8 minutes till the hour close. In this range, it's tough. It's tough. Four-hour candle still looks pretty good. Hour candle also looks pretty decent. The previous hour was strong bullish. This hour, obviously with NYSE, new 4-hour candle grabbing a lot of liquidity here. Looks like we'll close bullish on this candle as well. So we're back at this resistance around 17.5, 1917.5. Right now it almost looks like you've had a bit of a fake out. But you know, this 15-minute candle when it opened had no bottom wick, so maybe we just came to get that bottom wick. We've come into about 1916 where there are some reactions in the past, right here. Right there. So closing bullish there, you know, I wanted to see a pullback to 1915. Once we got moving off 1913, broke above 1915, I wanted to see this. But we've got that same idea a little bit higher up. Just in and around this resistance is quite tough. So 5-minute closed above this level that I'm looking at. If you break above that previous 5-minute high, being a bullish candle, there's a higher probability this 5-minute drives up as well. Stops would be about 20 pips. And then you got about a 40 pip target. So I'm going to give it a shot. Once we break the previous 5-minute high, I'm going to lower my risk. It's a very choppy range here, but I like the 4-hour with hourly. Only once we break that previous 5-minute high. Okay, so I just got involved with these bars on the break of the previous 5-minute high. Yo, didn't really break them, yeah. I'm not broke, we broke. Stop loss will be below this structure right here. Let's call it 1915.8. I want to see quite a quick move here. I don't want to hang around in this area because the hourly candle is closing in 2 minutes. So if we're not getting that push, might be best to just get out. On the 1 minute, you don't actually want to break below this level right here. Let's call it 1917. So if you want to be really aggressive with the stop loss, you could even have your stop at like 1916.9. I'm going to leave it for it is, but if we do break below 1917, I'll manage. We can call 1920 TP1 and break even. So TP1. And then as we tap that level, I'd go break even as well. So move my stop loss to entry. And then 1922 is the final TP. It could be ambitious and look to have runners to like 1925, even 1930, but don't think that that move's going to play out today. I'll maybe leave my TP open. If we do get breaks above 1922, maybe you get a push to 25. Okay, so 5-minute close bullish there. We're well above this resistance from earlier. Obviously on the hour, 30-minute, 15, we've closed bullish. And then the 4-hour just looks great. We've grabbed a lot of liquidity on the new 4-hour. Previous 4-hour formed that support already. So this 4-hour does look really good to drive up to the resistance here, to the top of the range. obviously the very beginning of the new hour candle, so just getting a little bit of a bottom wick forming here. What I like is the 4 hour we saw pulled back quite heavy, grabbed a lot of liquidity here. Previous 15-minute also gave you a bit of a pullback, so you got a really nice bottom wick there, grabbing some liquidity to possibly move up still. Stops are very safe here below that 15 minutes. If you break below that previous 15-minute low, you definitely want to be out. But all I'm saying is that, you know, we've had enough pullbacks, we've had enough liquidity grabbed. If price is going to move up in this session, I think we would start to move up now. So let's just monitor the 5 minutes. You know, if we close like a bearish engulfing candle, so a strong bearish body engulfing the previous 5-minute candle, then look to close out some of your position. Pretty good. Just retesting 1917.5 there for your bottom wick for that new candle. So that's pretty much all the bottom wick I really need to see. So yeah, if we start to break below this area at 1917, I would definitely start to close out some. The next 5 minutes should really start to move here. Close no top wick, tough. Just moving this over because I want to move my stops. So as we break these highs right here, the previous hourly high, I'm going to move my stop into below the current candle. So it's going to look something like that. Because we don't need this new hour candle to break its own low at that point. Okay, perfect. So I'm moving my stop loss into, let's call it 1917.2. I haven't closed out anything. I'm expecting after that break of the previous hour high to push to 1920. But at least taken some risk off the table. You know what? If we come back to entry, I'm going to close full. Yeah, I'm going to put my stops at entry. So risk free. I know that it's very close there, but I don't like this range. I don't like that we're not getting the push on the break of the previous hour high. So no more risk on the table. If it runs, great. If not, then, you know, break even day. Not too bad. Come on. Give us a chance here, gold. You sing. I can't sing. Let's go, Gold. Let's go. I hate to bring my stop loss in so early, but I don't think it's worth holding and looking for runners in these market conditions. So in a bit of profit, we broke the previous hour highs. Leaving the stops below the current hourly candle at 1917.2 is perfectly sensible. It's only like 8 pips, but I don't want to see red to start the week for no reason. Rather just take my break even. Not looking too bad, yeah. Up about 10 pips. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Next 5 minutes, come on. Next 5 minutes should give us a blast off here. I'm sure if we close above that previous hour high on the 5 minute, the next 5 will push up to 1920. Chat, should we just close 10 pips? Call it a day. Good way to start the week. Come on, Gold. Yes, do it. Nah. YOLO. I put risk on the table. I'm gonna let the trade play out. Not a bad idea. If you want to close out some at 10, 12 pips, it's really not a bad idea. But I mean, I went lower risk here as well, so I don't mind taking a break even. And I think for it to really be worth the risk that I put on the table, I may as well just let it run to my targets as planned out. At least to 1920, we like 6 pips away, 8 pips away. I mean, I'm not seeing any sort of like rejections here on the 1 minute. So I think to close would just be emotional. If this one minute closes bearish engulfing, then I will actually just close. Because that then makes sense. You'll probably get stopped out at break even. It's 8 pips or whatever, but yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna close. I'm gonna close full. Pretty much a write-off of a day. Very shit range here on gold. But 8 pips, I mean, hey. Some guys sit around for 6 hours for 8 pips, so that's fine. Keep it short and sweet. I guess it's a W to start the week. Not too bad. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining. Like I say, if you guys have any suggestions for content, educational stuff, okay? Don't ask for lifestyle. I'm not interested in that. I want to help guys who don't know where to start, like I say. but also give some more like insightful knowledge. There's a lot of, I try and share a lot of value on the stream, but you know, some days we sit here in silence. The chat doesn't really ask any questions that are really like insightful, and I can't think of things to speak about all the time. So, you know, I'll think of doing some content, but if you guys want to give any input, you can message in the Discord so long, for video ideas, for education ideas, things you guys are struggling with, and you know, I'll be happy to start working on some videos for the channel. Thank you guys for joining. Oh yeah, the Discord is in the video description. Check you guys tomorrow.